Hello there, good morning. Welcome along to Good Morning Transfers. We've got 26 days to go until the deadline and there's plenty bubbling away. With us for the next hour, former Bournemouth and Newcastle midfielder Dan Gosling and our very own Mr. James Green to discuss all the big stories this morning. Coming up on today's show. And look at this, every Wednesday we are joined by 6 Premier League fans who will be sharing their opinions throughout the show. Great to have you all with us. Smiles, you're on the telly, everyone. Sky Sports.
I wanted to ask Scarlett, as an Arsenal fan, I know Antoine Semenyo has spoken previously about being an Arsenal fan. Are you perhaps a little bit disappointed that City are picking him up? And also, how worried are you as an Arsenal fan with City, Arsenal's nearest rivals, picking up a player of his calibre?
I think from an Arsenal perspective, I feel that if we were in the mix, Semenyo would have been persuaded to join Arsenal. So
like your
I
confidence.
think from that standpoint,
He's an Arsenal fan as well, Scott.
He's an Arsenal fan, yeah. So I'm not worried that we missed out on someone. I think he's great. He's both-sided. He would obviously add something to our attack, but in terms of where we are at the moment, with Saka on the right side, he's not going to play ahead of him. I think in a way it would just be selfish, unlike some clubs, to just buy up all the talent. But in terms of City strengthening, I would be more concerned, and I'm sure we'll talk about Guéhi, if they went on to really reinforce their defence, because that to me is where I view the advantage between Arsenal and City.
Yeah.
I think signing Semenyo, is that potentially, are they worried about fatigue? They played the Club World Cup. Obviously Haaland's been incredible. I think Doku's been brilliant too. So I'm interested to see where he fits in that team. And it concerns you always when your rivals are strengthening. I'm sure it will give them a bit of a bounce to have a brilliant new player in the squad, but he doesn't make me nervous. That particular signing doesn't make me nervous.
As you can see, we've got Scarlett here as well. Away from that breaking news, we're talking Arsenal, we're talking Wolves, we're talking, firstly, dream signings this window. This is a whole dream world, Scarlett. It can be anyone you want. So give me your perfect dream signing. Then we're going to talk smart signings, and then we're going to talk gambles.
Okay, so for context, this is really hard because I actually have my dream squad at the moment, not to brag.
That's probably the right answer, is it, as an Arsenal fan?
But I think probably where's my deepest keeping me up at night concern in the squad, and that's what if something happens to Declan Rice? So yeah, for me, Bruno, I know I'm not going to endear myself to many Newcastle fans here, but I think he's a player who can reach the very highest levels of the game. And I think in terms of what happens to Arsenal's midfield when Rice isn't in it, I know we beat Villa, but we got run through quite a lot. And to be honest, we were lucky not to be 1-0 down in that game. And I think the athleticism that Rice brings there, the just all-round game. I mean, my dream signing would be prime Steven Gerrard, but that's not possible. So Bruno, I think, would just mitigate that. He's creative, he's aggressive. I think he'd do very well at Arsenal.
I think there's a lot of Newcastle fans, your old team, a lot of Newcastle supporters watching say, keep your hands off him, but hell of a player, isn't he? I mean, there were big links with Manchester City over the last few windows.
Yeah, it would cost you a hell of a lot of money. I think, to be fair, when you mentioned Bruno, my first initial thought when you said replace Declan Rice was Sandro Tonali. I think he's got the energy, he's got the legs, he can get about the pitch. And when I hear the fans talk about Newcastle midfield, it's one of the best in the Premier League. A lot of people, yes, they mentioned Bruno, but I think Tonali now is creeping up to that level. And I think when Tonali's not on it and not playing, they really miss that energy. I think there was a masterstroke swapping them position to an 8 to a 6. I think they swapped over last year probably, and it's proved a masterstroke. But it's a really, really elite midfield, one of the best in the Premier League.
You've already said basically you don't need anyone, but that would be your dream. What's your smart signing for January?
So my smart signing would be Yan Diomande. From Leipzig.
Now, come on, I'm going to put you right on the spot here because I've heard so many people say this kid's name, and he's a wonder kid. Everyone's talking about it. I haven't seen enough of Yan Diomande to say I want him at my football club. How many minutes have you seen him play for RB Leipzig?
I can't answer that question. No, it's still a tough one because I think the smart thing to do for Arsenal this window is nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a temptation when other teams are trolley dashing to go and feel that you have to do something, but I think the reality is that in City's case that's a bit of desperation. So I think the squad is in a really good place, but what is the kind of long-term planning, what is the long-term question for me is still the left side. Like Madueke can go both sides. Trossard's having an incredible season. Eze's played on the left a bit, but since that game at Villa Park has not really been trusted there. So someone who's kind of athletic, skillful, can deal with those games where, you know, the dreaded low blocks again. I feel that this guy, you know, he's got the potential to offer us some help in those situations. And he's young, so some can learn for a bit, can kind of settle in at a club that's hopefully already very successful.
By the sounds of it, he's going to play for a very successful club in the future, that is for sure. Lastly, from you, Scarlett, roll the dice. Give me a gamble signing for Jan.
Yeah, in a similar vein, I think the gamble would be Rodrigo at Real Madrid. I know that it's all a bit... He always looks like he's halfway out the door there, to be honest, and always ends up staying. So whether he ever leaves Real Madrid, I don't know. But, you know, where are the question marks in our team again? It would be that left side. Obviously, Trossard has really risen to that challenge this season, kind of unexpectedly. I think a lot of Arsenal fans were maybe expecting him to leave last summer. But Rodrigo has the kind of trickery, the ingenuity and the final product to kind of elevate that left side of the pitch to a sort of equal threat to Saka, which is the sort of dream scenario for Arsenal, I would say, in an attacking sense.
Dan, just on Arsenal, is that the problem side? Do you agree with Scarlett there, the left?
Not at the moment.
If there is to be any problems in that team.
Yeah, I mean, they're so strong everywhere. Obviously, Trossard is playing really well. Then Martinelli's been a really useful impact player at the moment. Although he's playing a lot of games, a lot of minutes, when he's on the bench, you know you can turn around and you can bring him on. And everyone's probably forgetting Max Dowman now. I know he's injured. There's a lot of talk about him at the start of the season. So signing too many players and the lure of Rodrigo and players like that, I know, is hard to sort of put to aside because they're fantastic players. But you don't want to keep blocking these kids' pathways because they're tremendous talents.